So first of all, thank you all very much for coming to one more session of our Web Carnival 2022. And now I have the pleasure of introducing Misrah Maqbool on the use of closed passages in the English language classroom. Misrah Maqbool is an English lecturer with more than 6 years experience as an ELT teacher. She is TOEFL certified, an academic writer, and English quiz supervisor by HRCA Mega Events. So over to you, Misrah.
Assalamu alaikum, and good morning and good evening. The topic of my presentation is application of critical pedagogy in ELT classroom of Pakistan. As I am from Pakistan, so here is my presentation. So I will click on presentation mode first. So here, critical pedagogy. According to Paulo Freire, critical pedagogy is the belief that teaching should, okay, I will move the, it's like, okay. Where it is. Teaching should challenge learners to examine power structures and patterns of inequality within the status quo. Paulo Freire opposed banking education, teacher as a narrating subject, students as a passive listeners. They were regarded as empty vessels. Teacher's job is to fill those empty vessels with valuable knowledge. Banking education allows no room for student experience or voice. On the other hand, similarly, banking education supports power and oppression in the classroom and therefore in society. So this is the concept of Paulo Freire that he opposed banking education because they considered because this education considered teacher as a narrating subject and students are just a passive listener. So here, critical consciousness and transformation, according to Paulo Freire. Paulo Freire advocates dialogic process. What is dialogic process? Is that transformation of knowledge. That there should be a transformation of knowledge in a classroom. And I will discuss about how it would take place later in the presentation. Transformation in the classroom leads to transformation in society. Disruption of power dynamics in the classroom lead to disruption of power dynamics in society. Solidarity in the classroom leads to solidarity in society. Paulo Freire, education for critical consciousness. So he advocates that critical consciousness should be there in students. So it's a job of a teacher to inculcate critical consciousness in students. So what, according to critical consciousness, according to Paulo Freire defines critical consciousness as the ability to recognize oppressive social forces shaping society and to take action against them. So he says that a person has to capable enough to raise his voice against the status quo and take particular actions so that he will play his vital role in the society. Similarly, how would you facilitate critical consciousness in ELT classrooms? So here, teachers and students as legitimate sources of knowledge, students as critical co-investigators with teacher. Teacher promotes critical investigation rather than memorization. So it's job of a teacher to promote critical thinking, critical awareness in students rather than memorizing them, rather than tends towards rote learning. So it is necessary. On the other hand, it requires communication between teachers and students. So here in Paulo Freire model of critical pedagogy, how could you inculcate critical consciousness? That teacher are also serve as a students, while on the other hand, students are also serve as a teacher, because both are learning from each other, because both are gaining and knowledge at the same time in classroom setting. So if a classroom setting is healthy, so teacher can learn from students, on the other hand students can learn from teacher. So there is a two-way relationship, I would say. Similarly, it creates a classroom community that disrupts the power dynamics of teachers over students. So here, critical awareness. So my presentation will focus on this criteria, that is, what is critical awareness? Critical awareness is often described as a process of becoming aware of social and political contradictions, and then to act against the oppressive elements of our socio-political conditions. This entails developing a critical attitude to help us understand and analyze the human relationships through which we discover ourselves. So here, critical awareness is thing that you should be aware of what are your social and political contradictions existing in your society, and you are so capable enough to take action, to raise your voice in a form of a campaign, in a form of organization. Make them aware that you are human beings, you are you can do anything if you wish to. There is a freedom of right, freedom of expression. So this is the whole thing about steps involved in process of critical awareness. So here, according to Paulo Freire, he discussed certain steps through which we as a teacher can inculcate critical awareness in students. That first step is that Freire began the process by creating the conditions through which his students could realize their own agency. He describes this first step as being able to identify the difference between what it means to be an object, a thing, and a subject, a human being. Once this first step of the process has been taken, namely the recognition of their agency. So here the Paulo Freire, he urged his students that you are a subject. You are a subject. You can bring change in a society. So you are. So this is said to be as the recognition of their agency, that you are the subjects. You are not an object, and you can raise your voice. You can take a step for the initiative against the status quo, against the inequalities existing in your societies, so that you will play your positive role in the society and environment. Similarly, what will be the second step according to Paulo Freire? He suggested that rejecting the oppressive belief of the dominant conscience. So he asked the oppressed one that you are not supposed to obey the oppressor, that if he wish to oppress you, you are not supposed to. You should raise your voice, you should take certain steps, and you should be aware of that this is your right of education. You can take education, and it's necessary. It's a right of yours. Last but not the least, third step is that education is necessary for liberation. If you want to gain, if you want to take step against the oppressor, all you need is to reform yourself. All you need is to groom your critical awareness. In this way, you can transform the society according to your ideas. Similarly, now the topic of my presentation, here the main focus with respect to Pakistani scenario, that critical awareness in context of Pakistani scenario. So critical awareness, I will discuss with respect to the feudalism in context of Pakistani scenario. As you all know about feudalism, that it means a landlord hold all the land while vassal and serfs farm it to get a piece of land in return. So feudalism exists in Pakistan, unfortunately, in rural areas of Sindh especially. So here landlord, he emphasized and he put as a, what would I say, oppressed the villagers, the peasants, and they have no right. Peasants have no right to go for education. So here the topic is conditions of what were the conditions of marginalized people living in rural areas of Sindh. So I will discuss what are the specific conditions that people living in rural areas of Sindh they are what are the consequences they are facing. Feudal lords rule in rural areas of Sindh, as I have told you before. Feudal lord acts as an oppressor. Their mindset of feudal lord is peasants working on their lands, labeled as oppressed, no right for quality education, no freedom of speech. If oppressed wants to raise his voice against the oppressor, has a right to take, oppressor has a right to take serious action against them. What they would do is that mostly they exile from their homeland. They have to suffer the consequences in the form of exile. So this is the whole thing about. So unfortunately, Pakistan is facing such crisis, especially in rural areas of Sindh, that the oppressor is feudal lord. He is not permitting, not allowing peasant children especially to gain education, although it's a right for every human being to go for education. But if they raise their voice, they face the harsh consequences. So here, feudalism causing educational inequalities. So feudalism, I will discuss feudalism with respect to the educational inequality, that no right for quality education. They have no right for a quality education. Peasant children, they have no freedom of speech, and if oppressed wants to raise his voice against the oppressor, has a right to take serious action, exile from their homeland. I think the slide has repeated. Okay, so here, feudalism causing education inequality. How? Contrary to that, oppressor's children, they have an equal right for quality education. They send their children to cities to get secondary education, higher education, and in other words, sometimes they send their children to abroad or foreign countries to for further studies. So this is the contradiction of our society in Pakistani perspective, that that feudal lord, they have right for everything. Nobody could take action against them. If they wish to, they have to face serious consequences. So here, educational inequality results in poverty and hunger. So educational inequality brings poverty and hunger in Pakistan, unfortunately. So when oppressor oppress the oppressed, leading to poverty and hunger. When oppressed has no right for education, he or she, along with its parents, with no other option, has left to work on the fields of landlords. So as they have no other option left, they have to, and they compelled to work on fields of landlord because they want to provide bread and butter to their family. How could they? So they have no other option left. The children work along with their parents on the fields of landlords, and day after day their condition are declining. If they won't work on lands, they will face the crisis in the form of food and hunger. If they decided that no, they won't work on their lands, then they will face the consequences in the form of food and hunger. So this is a survival issue, I must say. Condition of rural areas of schools and in Sindh in 21st century, I must say. So here, you may have a look that what is the condition that we are facing in Pakistan, especially in Sindh. Rural areas, they are suffering, they are very pathetic conditions. Students, especially, they sit on floor, getting education, no proper infrastructure, no blackboards, no whiteboards, no teaching aids. And teacher is serving his duty, as it's a noble profession, and teacher is playing his vital role in inculcating thinking, critical thinking, logical thinking, reasoning in students, make them aware about their surroundings, about their rights. Teacher is playing his or her role effectively in these particular conditions as well. Without any proper infrastructure, without any proper buildings, furnitures, whiteboards, technologies, but still teachers are committed to their job. They are very hardworking. They are playing their role in such critical conditions of rural areas in Sindh especially. So this is the picture of 21st century schools in Pakistan, unfortunately. My slides got disturbed. So here, okay. Yes, non-functional schools or ghost schools in rural areas of Sindh. So there is another very sad aspect of Pakistan, I would say, that there are certain schools said to be as ghost schools. Ghost schools still haunt Sindh education sector, especially what the purpose of these ghost schools. Actually, they are schools. They are schools, and they're supposed to give education. They're supposed to give or transmit education to the children living in these rural areas, but these schools are not functioning, and they are termed to be as ghost schools, and especially they exist in rural areas of Sindh. And teachers getting salaries at the government girls primary school Lal Bakhsh Mahatam, which was closed 2 years ago. 2 years ago, this school was closed, but teachers are getting salaries. So this is such a pathetic and such a sad condition of government schools, especially in rural areas of government schools of Sindh. So here I want to portray that if such a condition exists, how could you inculcate or foster critical thinking, critical awareness, critical consciousness in your students? But as a teacher, Alhamdulillah, I'm a teacher, and my job is to foster critical thinking, critical awareness in students. So I have taken certain steps, certain crucial step, I must say, in order to overcome these crises. And I am playing my job, I'm playing my role effectively with the help of other teachers in overcoming these educational inequalities in our societies. Sorry. So here, ghost schools in rural areas of Sindh, another sad aspect, what could I say, that they are now turned into barnyard. There are animals kept in schools, and the buildings have been turned into stables. This is what we are doing to our children when education is a constitutional right. Here I want to raise a voice that gaining education is a constitutional right in Pakistani constitution. But here we, as in human beings, we are not playing our role, and we are just doing worse and worse, not doing any, not taking any step for the betterment of the society. Although they are existed existed physically, but these schools are not performing, are not functional, and just because of that thing that I have discussed before, feudalism. Feudal lords are not permitting and not allowing on children, especially of peasants children, to earn education, to gain education, because they think that if they earn education, they will raise their voice, and they will be in danger. So this is the mindset, I would say, unfortunately. And this is the whole thing about. So here, critical awareness in contrast to cultural constraints in KPK province. So here I will discuss another province of Pakistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Here we, as a teacher, we face cultural constraints. While in Sindh, we faced educational constraint in a form of feudalism, while in KPK province, we face cultural constraints. What are these? Here they are. Son preference, male dominancy, lack of freedom of expression for female, early child marriage, non-involvement of female in decision making, non-acceptance of co-education. So these are the factors. These are the factors, I would say, that lead to cultural constraint, and especially in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, that there is a male dominancy, and male is a dominant part of that land, and lack of freedom of expression in terms of female have no right to express their opinion, their ideas, and ultimately female early child marriage, non-involvement of female in decision making. Female is considered that your job is to stay at home and do home tasks rather than participating in outside job or work together with males. So this is the mindset of that region. No acceptance of co-education, especially parents of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. They had a mindset that if they allow their female or their girls to go for education, so there is this is totally wrong. This is totally wrong, and this should not be done. So here they are totally against of co-education. So these are the factors. These are the factors come under cultural constraint, and we have to deal with it and these are the things. So critical awareness in constraint to cultural critical awareness in contrast to cultural constraint in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa of province is that women can play a pivotal role in the social, functional, financial, and cultural promotion of communities. So here Huck and Shahid in 2000 and 2007 by Huck, they stated that women can play a vital role in the social and financial and cultural promotion of communities, while on the other hand, traditional and cultural values hindrance between women and their prospects for education. Due to this reason, millions of girls in various societies live without education and deprived of many other opportunities in their lives. Begum in 2002. So here, as women are deprived of learning, deprived of education, they suffer the consequences, and that is why early childhood marriage it breaks early, and the number of other issues are there. Parental issues, parent pressure, so number of things. Similarly, according to Shahid in 2000, unfortunately, some societies are still conservative. They regarding female education. When a man is educated, it means that only one person of the society is educated. But when become educated, then it is truly said that a whole family will be educated, because a woman is not only a single person, but she is an institution within herself. Society accepts change, and when both male and female are educated. So here Shahid, he in his research thesis, he promotes that women and along with men, they play a vital role in shaping the society and bringing the change in the society, and all they need is to get education, to get educated. So this is the whole thing. Next, this situation is even worse in Pakhtun society as a mm, as a priority priority and social power granted to male at all level than female. Financial matters are settled and governed by men. Female cannot intervene, and they are found dependent, according to Kotwal in 2006. They do not have right to intervene in societal, monetary, political, and kin matters. The educational, employment, recreational, and political activities are completely gender-based, in which higher positions are given to men, according to Khan and Jamaluddin in 2008. So here, the higher position is achieved by male dominant society, as the male dominant society exists in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, so they give opportunities to men rather than females. So there is gender inequality. So number of things are there exist in our society, especially in Pakistan. So as a teacher, we face these consequences, these constraints in a form of educational constraint, sometimes in a form of cultural constraint. So this is the true reality that teachers of Pakistan face. But as a teacher, my job is to, and our job is to inculcate and foster critical awareness, critical consciousness in students. We use certain methodologies. Sometimes we use critical pedagogy, sometimes others pedagogies, we combine other pedagogies as well, in order to foster the thinking of the critical thinking in students. My slide. Yeah, here it is. Application of critical pedagogy in ELT classroom at college level in Pakistan. Application of critical pedagogy in ELT classroom at college level in Pakistan. As I am a teacher in Fazaya Degree College Faisal, teaching English since 2015, and I use critical pedagogy in ELT classroom, in my ELT classroom, and at college level, and promote critical thinking, critical awareness in students. How it take place? Let me share. Here it is. Application of critical pedagogy in ELT classroom of college at college level in Pakistan. So here the objective of a teacher is to create or foster critical consciousness in the students at college level through use of critical pedagogy. So with the help of critical pedagogy, I foster critical consciousness in my students at college level. So what will be the role of teacher while applying critical pedagogy in ELT classrooms? So here, teacher job is to do the need analysis of the students first. And then before posing a problem to students, before giving a problem, before sharing a problem to students, teacher job is to do need analysis of the students. What is the background of the students, level of English, where level 1, level 2, where they are studying, either the students are of beginner level, either the students are of intermediate level. So it's a job of a teacher to do need analysis first. Here, as I have told you before, that critical pedagogy revolves around that teacher serves as a facilitator in problem posing education proposed by Paulo Freire. So here, teacher as a facilitator, he posed a question, posed a problem to the students, and he served as a facilitator. Facilitating dialogues among students in healthy environment. So teacher role is to facilitate dialogues among the students in a healthy learning environment of ELT classroom. So this is the job of a teacher. So here, application of critical pedagogy in ELT classrooms of Pakistan. Now, topic, teacher gives the topic to students, like for example, it's topic feudalism, a factor causing educational inequality. So here, what will be the strategic planning that teacher imply? Here, teacher will ask the students to go through research articles or newspaper, research journals, or e-learning blog or e-learning podcast. So here, educational resources, with the help of educational resources, students can find related information regarding that particular topic, that is feudalism, a factor causing educational inequality, after posing a question by teacher. And then here, what is the role of the students? So here the students perform a function like they need to collect the data in order to find material information regarding that particular topic. What they need is to they go in they go in field, they do research work, they go through research articles, newspapers, a number of things, and then they collect data. Then they collect data and then they discuss together in a form of a group. And then what did they do is that the students will do research and gather information from various educational resources and come up with possible solutions to specific problem. So this is the role of our students. So here, after collecting information, after doing research work, students, they make a final draft with collaboration with the help of their teacher, student, student and student. So this is a correlation, I might say, that teacher, student and students, they are both involved in teaching learning process. With the help of critical pedagogy, teacher can achieve his or her objective effectively. So I would consider this pedagogy, that an essence of critical pedagogy is this thing, that here teacher and student and students. So teacher learns from students, students learn from teacher, students learn from each other. So this is the essence of critical pedagogy, I would say. So this is my my thinking. Application of critical pedagogy in ELT classrooms of college level in Pakistan. So here a lesson develop, how the lesson will develop further in ELT classroom, that student will give presentation on feudalism, a factor causing educational inequality. Students will discuss possible solutions related to the problem. In this way, students will confident enough to share their views in a form of presentation. They make presentation, they come up with a solution, they share their ideas, their views in front of their classmates. In this way, they can analyze, first they analyze the problem, then they do critical analysis, and then in this way they are confident enough to present the information they have gathered from data and then presented in a form of a presentation, PowerPoint slides in front of their classmates in ELT classrooms, so that they would suggest a solution to that particular issue, that students will discuss the possible solutions related to the problem. Now, what would be the outcome? Here, the outcome after applying this critical pedagogy in ELT classroom with respect to Pakistani scenario, here teacher will foster critical thinking, and critical thinking leads to critical consciousness in students at college level. This is my finding, and I'm working on this pedagogy, alhamdulillah, in my college, Bazai Degree College Vessel, and I'm achieving my objectives meaningfully and effectively. So this is the flow chart. This is a flow chart. I would say here you might understand the whole thing more clearly. That objective of a teacher in ELT classroom, that he posed the question, he posed a problem, and then what they do is that teacher suggests a strategic planning should be there. Teacher asks the students to go or to do research, read articles, read research journals, and gather collection or data from the environment, from the field, and come up with a solution. And then role of a student is that they collect the data and then they make a draft, and they make and present that draft in a form of a presentation in front of their classmates and share their findings, and at last but not the least, they share their solution as well regarding to that particular issue raised by teacher in an ELT classroom. So in this way, I would say that teacher, the role of teacher is that teacher in the sense teacher is raising and teacher making students confident enough to raise their voice and come up with possible solution as well. And in this way, their English gets improved as well. When they are, for example, if there are a group of students who are at beginner level, with the help of this process, with this critical pedagogy approach, teacher is capable enough to groom their thinking skills and cognitive skills as well. Because they were doing research, they are doing research and gathering information from the data, and then they are confident enough to present that data in front of other students and sharing their findings with teacher as well. So at the same time, practice of functional language is also there. Students can learn if they make mistakes in delivering any part of if they commit mistake in grammar point, any functional grammar point, the teacher at that time, teacher will listen. Teacher will not interrupt at that time, but at the end, he or she will give feedback to students, positive feedback to students, that you commit that mistake and it should be like that. So in this way, teacher is simultaneously achieving his objectives as well. So here, lesson development and solution of a problem. And then this is said to be the transformation. And this is actually the transformation suggested by Paulo Freire, that in this way we transform the class. We are giving authority to students. We are considering them a subject, that they are the subject, they are the agency, and they are playing their role, and they can play their role. All we need is to make them confident enough that you go and take your step. You can do and you can do anything if you wish to. So all you need is to be honest towards your findings and come up with the solution. I would say that every problem has a solution. So here, another thing the teacher can do as for that application of critical pedagogy in ELT classroom of college level at college level in Pakistan, that aim of closed passage activity, teacher with the help of presentation, with the help of closed passage activity, teacher can foster critical awareness in students. How it could be here, one of the lesson written by Maria Mains, she wrote an short essay on wasteland. So this is the whole thing about. So here, teacher with the help of this activity, closed passage activity, teacher asks students. Teacher with the help of this closed passage activity can create critical thinking in students. For example, teacher will ask the students to read the passage carefully, and for example, teacher asks the students to read third paragraph, and then afterwards, teacher will ask the students to fill the gap with right word or phrase. So in this way, teacher can inculcate critical thinking in critical thinking skills in students. Cognitive skills are also in this way. Teacher can do his play his role effectively. Let me change. So this is the whole thing about, yes, this is my this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much that you listen to my findings. You listen and these are my findings. These are this is the true picture of Pakistani culture, and we in Pakistani scenario, we as a teacher, we are working very hard and playing our role effectively with the help of these critical with the help of this critical pedagogy, and we are trying our level best to foster critical awareness along with critical thinking in students. In the meantime, we our curriculum designers, they are designing curriculum to foster curriculum thinking in students. So this is one of the, I would say, a positive change in Pakistani curriculum, that we are now molding our curriculum according to the need of the society, according to the students' needs. This is the whole thing about. Thank you.
Thank you, Misrah, very much for your presentation. I think it's really interesting to see the reach of Paulo Freire's ideas beyond Brazil, and it was really nice to watch our presentation. There are two questions in the chat box, and
Okay.
I'm also going to encourage any other participant who wants to ask any question right now. So the first question comes from Patricia, and she asks if you're optimistic or not about the future educational condition for girls in Pakistan.
Yes, I am optimistic because girls, they and men and women all are equal, and if men are getting education, if boys are getting education, so why not females? They female, their job is to look after home, but at the same time, they can earn, they can go for higher education. Why not? So I'm very optimistic towards female education, and I'm hopefully, inshallah, in future this mindset will be changed, and all inshallah the literacy rate in Pakistan will raise.
Okay. And the second question comes from Gustavo. He asks if you teach at all the areas you have shown in your presentation.
What are the areas? Sorry.
Oh, he asks, do you teach at the areas you have shown in your presentation?
No, I haven't, but I have witnessed through drama, through movies. They portrays, our dramas and movies portray the scenario, the true picture exists in rural areas, especially in Sindh, and are especially in news channels. They are promoting and they are highlighting the issues faced by peasants of rural areas, that they suffer from crisis in the form of feudalism. Their feudal lords are not permitting them to earn to go for education. So this is the thing about, and our curriculum, especially there are certain chapters included in our curriculum, in our textbooks, that promote, that highlight that this is the reality and this is the thing, and we must take steps. So I must say that we as a teacher and must ask students to come up with ideas, come up with solution, as I think that this is 21st century, and students are very they are very sharp. They are more intelligent, I must say, they are more intelligent, and they have a very close connection with media, social media. They come up with solution rapidly. They mess on Instagram and other source of information they have, rather than teacher, because teacher at the same time she has to look after their children, as his or her children as well. So I must say that Paulo Freire is right. He was right that that teacher learns from student. This is totally right in 20th century, with respect to 20th century, that especially teacher learns from students, and students are a source of knowledge, I must say now. This is a compliment for students of my Pakistani students. And I'm being optimistic teacher. I'm hopeful, inshallah, that this mindset, this status quo will change, and we will bring a change in and these schools that are ghost schools turn to be functional soon, and by the action of government, by the action of society, by the action of organization who raise their voice against such crisis, such inequalities exist in our society.
Okay. And does anyone else have any other questions they would like to forward to Misrah? If you folks want to turn on your mics, it's fine as well, or you can type your questions in the chat box. Okay. Okay. So once again, thank you very much, Misrah, for presenting it at our event. Like I said before, it's really nice to see Paulo Freire reaching beyond the borders of Brazil. So it was really nice to watch your presentation and your contributions all the way from Pakistan. So thank you very much.
Pakistan. Thanks indeed. Same here. Same here. So nice of you. Thanks a lot, Marcus. Thanks a lot, giving me an opportunity to present Pakistan, at what are the crises that we as a teacher faces, and still we are encouraging and fostering critical awareness in students with the help of our activity. This is, inshallah, we will achieve our objectives.
Okay, so thank you.